Hey everyone, welcome to today's affordable entryway bench video. This is an easy DIY bench. If you're new here, I'm Becca and I would love for you to hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy motherhood content and DIYs, you will love my channel. Today we are starting off with this piece of wood that I got from Home Depot. It is a 12-foot 10 inches wide, 2 inches thick board. I went to Lowe's, they did not have one this thick, and I really wanted it to be a thick board just for aesthetic reasons and for durability. So I went to Home Depot and thankfully they had a 2-inch thick board. I wish it was a little bit wider, but it does the trick and it worked out perfectly nonetheless. But we are just cutting it down to size right now. This is a pine board too. I paid $20 for it, which is great. I feel like that's very affordable for the size of wood that we got, and I have some left over that I could do some fun DIYs with afterwards if I would like as well. Now that we got it all cut down to size, I'm gonna go ahead and sand it down. It was a bit rough, and I chose this specific board because it has a lot of knots in it, and I love that style. I love like the rustic style and like kind of distressed look. I know that's not for everybody. My husband doesn't particularly love it, but I just love that it brings so much character to the piece of wood. But it was a little rough, so I did need to sand it down and get it all smooth before I stained it. I started off with an 80 grit sandpaper with my sander because there were a lot of imperfections on this board that I did want to get out, and then also there was writing on the back of it. There was like a stamp on the back of it. So I did start off with an 80 grit, and then to smooth it out I went in with a 220. You always want to smooth it out with a higher grit. So once I was ready to smooth it out, once I got all the imperfections out of it that I wanted to, I just went in with that 220 to smooth it out. Also, I got this idea from a Pinterest that I saw that I will have linked down below in the description box. I always want to make sure that I'm giving credit to where credit is due, and I did not come up with this solely by myself, so I wanted to, if anybody wanted to see where I got the inspiration or the blog I got the inspiration from, go ahead and click the link down below. Now that it's all sanded, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it off to get it ready to be stained. You wanna make sure that before you stain it, you go ahead and clean off all of the debris and the dirt and all the sanding and everything. You don't wanna have any of that on it when you go to stain the board, so it's important that you get it cleaned off. I'm just using a damp paper towel just to get everything off. Now I'm going to go in with my Wax stain. This is in Early American. It's one of my favorite colors to use. I've used it many times in the past, and I went ahead and just got a little can because I knew I would be doing, this is more than enough to do like a few shelves or a bench like this. But I just go ahead and take a paper towel, I get it saturated on the end, and then just rub it all over the board and start off with doing that. I just wanted to mention that I know with watching these videos for a beginner, it can be very intimidating or scary to start projects like this, but everybody starts somewhere, and I remember a few years ago I would have been way too scared to do something like this or felt like I wasn't capable of doing it. And I just want to say, for anybody who's on the fence, just start it. You will make mistakes along the way, but you will learn how to correct them, and That's just the best way to learn. I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, but I've learned also a ton along the way, and I'm so happy that now I feel confident in doing any of these projects. Next, we're gonna go in with this polyacrylic, and it's in clear matte. I like using a matte finish on the wood, and it doesn't always look super matte on the wood. It does on furniture, but not on like shelves and stuff. It gives it just a tiny bit of a shine. It's not overbearing, but it's not super mattified either. But I'm just gonna put this on here to protect the wood. I'm gonna do 2 coats of this. I only did 1 coat of the stain, and I let it dry for 24 hours like the instructions said. All the instructions are on the backs of these things, and I always just follow them for what they say, how they say to do it. So I went ahead and put 2 coats of poly on this, since we're gonna be sitting on it and moving on it, maybe setting drinks on it as we're like coming and going. So we wanna make sure that the wood is protected, and this will be the best way to do it. I'm also using a foam brush to put it on. Some people like to use a paintbrush. It calls for a paintbrush. I don't love doing it that way. I really like using the foam brush. So I go ahead and do that. Poly is one of those things where you will just have to learn along the way as you use it. It is a little finicky, it dries fast, and if you put too much, it can be bubbly. Everything can be sanded out with poly, so don't ever panic. You can always sand it down and put another layer on and perfect it. But I also like to store it in these baggies so that whenever I need to use it again later on in the day, I close it up airtight so that I can use it again later on and not have to keep using fresh ones. These are the legs that we're going to be using today. I bought these off Amazon. They will be linked down below. They were $20 and it was 19 and some change, but I knew from the get-go that I wanted to use these legs. This was primarily my plan all along, and I just love the style of these. So I'm also not gonna lie, I had a heck of a time doing the screws for this. Chris really had to help me. We thought at first that maybe I could just drill the screws right in, but they were just a little too thick, so we needed holes, or pilot holes, for the screws. So my husband went ahead and made some of those. I was a little too scared to do that myself because I was just a little too scared that I would end up going through the board. So I had him do it, and then I got some of the screws in. He finished up the rest of them because I was still struggling with them. They were just so thick, and I just did not have the power behind me to get them in straight and get them in right, especially trying to maneuver around the legs. So thank goodness my husband was home to help me. Otherwise, I would have been stuck for a while on this. If you're new here, I recently did a small mudroom makeover, and I will link that video down below if you're interested in watching that. I show how I did the board and batten and all of that, but I knew that I needed a little something for this space, and this bench just worked out perfectly. It's the perfect size for us and for the kids to just toss our shoes on, or to, rest a backpack to put stuff in it. And it doesn't take up this small hallway either, which I love. Thank you guys so much for watching this video today. Thank you so much for choosing to click on it. Please share it and give it a thumbs up, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.